Can you see the chats too?
Nope, I can't see the chat.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I think it's streaming live now. That's all I can see. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So thank you everybody for joining us. We have a special guest with us back again, Dr. Arjun Pai, and he is actually, if you're new to this channel, he is one of the founders of Cosmic Insights, which is one of the apps that I always bring up and suggest to take a look at. And you know, it has so much knowledge on what my favorite thing is, which is nakshatras. So thank you so much for being here. We are going to discuss the lunar eclipse. We're going to get into details with it. And then at the end, we will take some questions. So thanks so much for coming on my channel again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And namaste to everybody, all the viewers from your channel, Heidi. Thanks for having me again. And I'm so excited to talk about the lunar eclipse. I would be doing a lot of videos with other people. I'm excited because there is a lot of fear and phobia related to eclipses that are happening. And people always write into us, asking us, is this eclipse going to be okay for us, But I said, let me go and let me clarify this doubt in as many places I could go to, wherever I'm invited to come and talk about this specific eclipse. And I'm so excited to talk about this eclipse because this is a very big phenomenon that is happening. So let me just put this in context, Heidi. Now, firstly, this eclipse that I'm going to talk about, it's a total lunar eclipse, which is happening on Friday, the 27th of July at 1:20 p.m. Pacific time. It is 8:20 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and it is 1:40 a.m. on the 28th of July in India. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be one of the longest lunar eclipses that you have seen in almost a decade or over a decade. It's an eclipse which happens once in every 20 years. I mean, that how long is this? The longest, because it lasts for about an hour and 23 minutes. And another phenomenon which is happening, Heidi, with this lunar eclipse, and let me just tell all your viewers who are watching us and who will be watching this video later on as recorded, is this, lunar eclipses and eclipses are in general all astronomical phenomena. So you don't need to really fear about them. It's about those times when you can really bring in the divine light within you. So it's a good time for transformations. It's a good time for shifting and to realigning and reconditioning and reassuring you that these eclipses are very much nothing but astronomical phenomena, but they will also leave you a big impact over a period of time. So typically what happens with these lunar eclipses, depending on the time or how depending on the length of the eclipse, the other eclipses that you see normally, the total eclipses are not as long as this. Their impact could last a couple of months, for example, about 3 or 4 months on either side of an eclipse. So it doesn't happen just on the day of the eclipse. The phenomenon has already started a couple of weeks ago. I would say roughly about 15 days, plus or minus 5 days on each side of an eclipse,
Right.
in a total eclipse. So that you can give 2 weeks after an eclipse, 2 weeks before the eclipse. So you already have felt this. And just to put it in the perspective again about this specific eclipse, what is very key about this eclipse is there are 3 eclipses happening in a span of 30 days. Okay, I repeat again, it's not the calendar month I'm talking about, over a span of 30 days. So the first eclipse happened, we had an eclipse on the 13th of July, which was a partial solar eclipse. Okay, And this eclipse happened in the sidereal nakshatra of Purvashada. Sorry, sidereal of Punarvasu.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
yeah. Let me repeat that. It's Punarvasu, or
Yes.
it is in the Gemini side. In the sidereal zodiac, it's Gemini. And this eclipse that is coming up on the 27th of July, um, it's happening in Pushya Nakshatra in the sidereal, nakshatra scheme, and it's happening in Cancer. If you go towards the western, then it would be Leo and Aquarius. But here it's Cancer and Capricorn in the Vedic astrology that we follow. And then we have another, solar eclipse, Heidi, happening on the 11th of August, which is a partial solar eclipse. So in a span of 30 days, you have 3 eclipses happening. And if you go to NASA's website, and when you do this, when you just do Google yourself, you will find out that there were only 12 such eclipses in the past 500 years.
Wow.
So you can really imagine that there are 3 eclipses happening in a span of 30 days, which is only, it has been, only such 12 eclipses where, 3 eclipses have fallen in a span of, 30 days. Okay. So another very important phenomenon which is going to happen on the same day, and let me tell you, this becoming the longest, it is also called as the blood moon, because the moon is going to look really reddish like blood. So this lunar eclipse, the full moon, the eclipse of the full moon is going to look like, the moon is going to look like really, really, but the moon can only be seen largely from parts of Europe and Africa and India. Maybe it won't be seen over United States, okay, because it's daytime. So it might not be so much visible, but it's definitely visible in greater parts of Europe and Africa and in India as well. You know, but the other phenomenon, Heidi, that I was talking about in India, we celebrate 27th of July, the full moon, as a Guru Purnima. And Guru Purnima usually opens up the doors to bring in powerful blessings which are filled on the full moon of the year. And this is the full moon of the year where we celebrate this as the Guru Purnima, which means the full moon of the teacher, the full moon of the mentor. And this helps you to ease the way to experience shifts within you, transformations, changes, and also to welcome miracles that a guru can bring in your life. So this is absolutely a very packed event it's going to be. And what I can tell you, for how people must be feeling at the moment, is some of them could be at the eye of a storm. When they least expect, they could be surprises. And also all those things that you have been putting off for maybe many months, many weeks, or many years, which you have been just sweeping it under the carpet, all those karmas are going to come to be addressed right now.
I'm feeling that one. I'm feeling that one.
Whether you want to, it could be, sometimes it could be surprises, but I'm just wanting to say, it is testing times for your patients. That definitely I can vouch for most of them, how they might be feeling. But there are certain old karmas. When I'm saying old, it need not be from a previous life. It could be from this lifetime as well. Some people that you have met, some people you have been dragging along certain relationships. Suddenly you might feel you just want to, finish that karma and, get over it.
Right.
It could be even business partnerships. It could be, relationships. It could be even in your career or in your profession, where you have disliked your manager, your boss. You didn't want to work for him. but it was very difficult for you to let go of him, and you finally decided, no, I think I had it too much. This is too much for me. I have to end this, and maybe this eclipse will help you. And I'm saying it need not happen on the day of the eclipse. That's what I meant to say. It
Right.
can span out over the next couple of months, and this one, because being the longest, it could be a couple of months, 3 or 4 months before, and sometimes 6 to 8 months after as well. Another thing that I would also say, Heidi, is you can see a lot of secrets being revealed. Many things will come up in the open,
Hmm.
things which people have been hiding, things which people didn't want to share it with others. It could be knowledge, or it could be something which they have done, which they didn't want to share it because they were fearful what would happen, the consequences of knowing the truth. I think it's all going to be up and open. It only needs to you need to understand, Heidi, that you know nobody should fear about these things. It's just to remind all of them that even this time shall pass. Like they say, even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise again.
Yep.
So definitely, for many of us, this is a big shift in moving towards a collective consciousness. It's a gigantic shift, and it's very welcome. It's welcome that we're going through this big shift that is happening. Many of us will also see that there could be some extreme weather conditions that could happen in certain parts of the world over the next couple of months. And also, it can lead to a lot of frustration, which builds up anxiety, frustration, which builds up during an eclipse. Because if you really know what really an eclipse is, it is an alignment of all the the luminaries with the earth, with the sun, moon, and the earth being aligned in a specific manner, and they are playing this whole game, and that creates. But what is it really meant for? In the Vedic system, eclipses were meant for going deep into introspection and meditation and sadhana. Why? Because one of the methods to do that is to draw your shoulder behind, straighten your spine, put your head completely straight on top of your head, top of your shoulders, and then align them and sit down and wait for the divine light to come through you, because there's no better time than an eclipse that you can go and experience transcendental states and experience bliss to the highest level that you can possibly do. And to make this, to facilitate this experience, many of the Indians usually abstain from having any food or even meat around this time, around the time of an eclipse. It's because the typically around a solar eclipse, what happens, Heidi, is the UV radiations are very low on the earth plane. UV radiations help in controlling the breeding of bacteria or viruses or germs in the food. But when there is low UV radiations, they breed very quickly. So typically avoid keeping any meat items at home for a couple of days before an eclipse, just because you don't want the meat to be breeding ground for these bacteria.
Right.
Just it also helps you in your meditative state, because if you have too much of food remaining in your body for longer durations, it doesn't help you or enable you to go into that transcendental state. So it has nothing to do with any religious belief systems or nothing. It's purely to facilitate the awakening of the higher consciousness and bringing the light into your body. So Heidi, whenever I talk about eclipses, I talk specifically about this eclipse. I'm saying eclipses are very good periods when you can really go for a detox. And detox is not only about your body, it's also the place that you live in. And this eclipse is happening in the sidereal systems, happening in along Cancer and Capricorn, and it's happening in Leo and Aquarius. So if you take Capricorn and Aquarius, you're also seeing Saturn. There's a connection of Saturn there. And then whether it is Leo or it's Cancer, it's two luminaries, Sun or the Moon. So now the common factor there is the Saturn. Now, what does Saturn signify? Saturn signifies old things, old habits, okay, old life patterns. You might be seeing that there is a pattern which sees that you see in every potentially some relationships that you're going through. You might have multiple relationships in the past. All those relationships go through the same trigger points and they come to an end at this, in the same fashion. So you need
That's
to
for sure.
break that. So you need to break that fashion. You need to break that, and maybe this is going to help you with that. So what are those things which facilitate this sort of bringing you to the same pattern? Is all Saturnian things. What does Saturn represent? Saturn represents your footwear, your shoes, and all types of footwear that you wear, because it's connected to your knees and the lower part of the knees. Because Capricorn is the knees in the natural zodiac, and the lower than there is, the ankles and the shin. So those are connected to Shani. Okay, so the feet is again the most important thing. So get rid of, go for a spring cleaning, get rid of all those shoes that you haven't been wearing for more than 6 months. It's very unlikely that you're ever going to wear them again. Just think about it. Old clothes, old shoes, handbags especially, you know and if you're living in a humid climate, handbags and this might be sitting in, and they can really gather moss, and they can really, you know not help the chi, the prana to flow, the life force. They kind of block that life force down there. They
Mhm.
lock it down. So the first thing I would always say is to cleanse and clean and purify the space that you're living in, to allow you to bring in, fresh energy and fresh dimension, fresh perspective into your life, everything. So a spring cleaning is very welcome. Get rid of all those clothes that you never think, there might be some torn clothes or whatever. Just get rid of anything which you feel has come to its end. So that way, in some way, you're also breaking the old karma chain,
Correct.
because there is an affinity that develops with certain things which are worn out, which are overused, and but you still keep carrying them with you.
Now,
So that's the first.
would you
Yeah.
suggest donating them?
Yes, you can donate them, or especially shoes, because
Mhm.
Shani, it's a karaka for Shani. They say uh, old things shouldn't be donated. You just leave it, and leave it outside your door, and you tell if anybody wants to take it, let them take it. That's the best way. Let destiny decide who deserves it,
I see. It's a good one.
because Saturn is karma karaka.
Hmm.
But what happens is, if you go and give it to somebody, then Shani will get activated, because Shani is everything to do with old things. And actually, the person you're donating to will benefit from the blessings of the Shani. So, for example, if you ever wanted to, benefit from Shani, and this is not I'm not saying this is a generalized statement. I'm just saying I've seen this happen. You you can you can request your friend to, you can tell your friend, "Oh, I like your shoes. Are you willing to just give it to me?" And that might turn out to be very lucky for you, rather than going and buying a new shoes. See, I'm not trying to say it's, but what is Shani? Shani is also about recycling as well.
Right.
Okay. So I would say, some of them, what they do in India, and this is very strange, people just go on a Saturday to a Shani temple with their footwear, and they come back after the temple, just leave the footwear there, what they want to, let go of. They just walk back bare feet and come back home. And walking bare feet is another great thing that I think everybody should be doing. It's not about saying bare feet is good, but when your feet touches Mother Earth, I'm not talking about concrete. Don't get me wrong. It's not concrete or tar or coal tar or anything. It's the real soil. It's the grass that you walk on. That's when you really feel grounded. And this is the one of uh, the best ways I've been telling people to relieve the frustration from within them. See, Heidi, there are only three reasons typically why you go to see an astrologer. Okay, there can't be a possible fourth reason. That's what I've been told by, even K.N. Rao Saab when I attended one of his courses on Gemini a couple of years ago. He made this, and this has been there with me for for so many years, and this still kind of resonates with me. He says there are only three reasons why you go to see an astrologer. It's the fear and the phobias that haunts you from the past.
Yep.
It's the anxiety of the present and the curiosity of the future. He says there is no other fourth reason why you want to go and see an astrologer.
Right. That's so dead. That's definitely the facts.
Yes, it's very easy. So, one is to let go of those fears and the phobias which have been haunting you because it's a past experience, but you're still weighing under, or you're feeling a sense of responsibility, or a feeling it's a scar from your past.
Yep.
So the sooner you let go of that past, because um, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It's done and dusted.
Yep.
And the anxiety of the present, what is going to happen? Will I get this job? I put in an application, will I be able to make it to the interview, and will I be successful in this interview? And there's so many things that can be going in your mind about the present.
Mm-hmm.
Let go of that anxiety as well. One of the best ways to let go of the anxiety is to even go and hug a tree. That's the best thing I've seen. There's no better, people say, give me a remedy, give me a remedy. I say, go hug a tree. If you really feel frustrated in life, you feel directionless, because the trees, and
Yeah.
the older the tree, the greater the feeling is. The taller, the older, the gigantic the tree is, the greater the feeling is. Why? Is because the roots of the tree would have really, really gone down. And when you hug a tree, it really grounds you. It really, literally grounds you, and it fills your heart with love and compassion, because they have lived on this planet for much longer than we have. They have seen, all the changes, the climatic changes. They've observed everything that is happening on this planet for, hundreds of years, maybe some of them, the older ones. They really are like our, grandparents. They are like our ancestors. They really protect you. So that's one of the best ways to really let go of your anxiety. And walking on bare feet. Today, even scientists have found out that a lot of degenerative diseases can be avoided by walking bare feet on grass. Because there are so many sensitive points on your feet, that they're connected to different parts of your body. It's like an acupressure point. They all really, help you to absorb the energies and nutrients it requires also, including shoe makers like Nike. Today, I think they've come up with a pair of shoes which is almost, they call it, there's no sole. It's almost like you're walking on bare feet.
Wow.
Yeah, Nike has come up with such shoes. So it's only way of saying that you're connecting back to Mother Earth. So these eclipses, definitely, I would say, it's not only a there is not only an astronomical phenomenon, that's also a metaphysical phenomenon. For example, all eclipses will have some association with the sun and the moon, isn't it? There has to be these luminaries which is involved. So let us never forget, whenever an eclipse happens, the sun represents, the significations of the sun are the king. And who is the king in these times? It's the presidents, it's the governors, it's the prime ministers, it is the chief ministers of different states. or governors of different states who administer. So there definitely be some changes potentially in their lives as well. It could be their personal life or maybe their professional life. Even in civil servants, because sun represents the government in general. Sun represents the father.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
So, because you have such a nice, and I see all these comments like he's so positive, and you are so positive, and that is really good advice. Because I think a lot of times, even myself, you want to focus on the negative too, because you want people to be aware of this stuff first, right? Okay, so then now you're aware, now everybody's scared. So it's really good to hear that. But I think it's awfully interesting, and this is my conspiracy mindset. Okay, and that's 100% all it is. But I think they preach Western astrology because like they've twisted it and they don't want us to know the real truth. Because if you take a star chart up, stick it in the sky, you can clearly see where this eclipse is happening. It's sidereal. It's in the sidereal zodiac. So, with that said, what are your thoughts on people like governments and shadow governments and all that stuff? Do you think they use this in the twisted way and to control us? And you not to change this so twistedly, but what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think they use it in a way like the bad use it for the bad? Because eclipses can bring out the bad too, right? Don't you agree?
Yeah,
The ugly
no, I
monster.
totally agree. Yeah, I think I totally agree with that. There is another side of the phenomenon of the bad that you think about. It's because of its association with Rahu and Ketu.
Right.
The north node of the moon and the south node of the moon. But having said that, let me say that the governments use certain phenomenon to create, or governments or anybody, they generally try to create the hype around an event so that people will feel more fearful, because it's an event which nobody could explain what is really happening in the sky, isn't it, in the past. But today we know it's only an astronomical phenomenon. Yes, it has certain metaphysical implications or influences. But if as an individual, don't go with the herd mentality. The herd mentality. Oh, I'm feeling frustrated.
Right.
I can see a lot of people feeling frustrated. So it feels like it is okay to feel frustrated, which
Right.
means when you're seeing. And remember, Heidi, what happens is we are an average of the 5 people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. This is a fact. This is absolutely, truth. When I say you're an average, including your vocabulary,
Mm-hmm.
okay, including the choice of words that you have, is an influence of the friends and the people that you're interacting with. I've seen this, and it can really impact you as well. If your friends always swear, I've been with such people as well. And then suddenly psychologically you start using those words, and I was like, I've never used these words in the past before.
Yeah.
So vocabulary, your lifestyle, your income levels, including your dressing sense, how you dress, the food that you eat, what type of foods you like and what types of food you eat. It can all be an average. So if you are hanging out with people who are always feeling nervous and and anxiety around any big event which is coming up, you'll also feel that, because you just draw upon their energies, because we are talking about this is an eclipse. Eclipses are usually which happens around luminaries. So you are not able to see what is the truth, the real truth, because sun or the moon gets eclipsed. So
Yeah.
moon is still a reflection of the original source of light, which is sun. Okay, so why is sun connected with the government and to people who are in power? Is because on the earth plane we were looking at these people as the kings. We were looking at them as the sun. We say,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't understand the sun, the phenomenon of the sun, please help us to guide us, to give us the light on the earth plane. But today, these same kings, they don't really care about us. They only care about themselves, their families.
Mm-hmm.
If they were really caring about us, then they should have shown us the light and the real light that we are going to see. Today, we don't see the real light. It's all about, fear. The fear psychosis keeps you wanting to vote them in, because they come and they talk and they use a choice of words which actually makes you feel comfortable in a scenario which is fearful. So they create that scenario of phobia or fear and anxiety and curiosity, and then they come and they give you the medicine, because the sun is the medicine actually. But if you my sense, what I want to say is, do you really want to go to these people for guidance when you can go to the real original source of light, which is sun? When you bring the sun into your life, then you don't need anybody else to guide you, because you yourself are drawing that original source of light within you, so it will guide you.
That
So
gave
do
me
we really,
chills.
okay, do you really need kings and
No,
queens
no,
to
no.
really guide you? You don't need, because we have now, in modern times, we have become the kings with education. When you're educated, you know. And we live in a democratic world. Yes, we still say it is democracy, but in some way we know what is happening is, you don't see what is really truth. It's a Rahu world, because Rahu is eclipsing the sun. So what you see is not what actually it is.
Yeah.
So what we are made to believe, it's an illusionary. We call it the Maya. The Maya. Why? How Rahu behaves, Heidi? I know I'm just going to, but why I'm saying this is, these nodes have a significant meaning. What are they playing? How are they playing in our lives? Because Rahu behaves in three different fashions, and this has been very well documented in our ancient scriptures. And they always align uh, uh, these shadow planets with some animals, just to give you a flavor of how they behave. Now, a Rahu, apparently, they say, behaves as three animals in three different levels. At the lowest level, a Rahu, or the north node of the moon, behaves as though it's a serpent or a snake. And what does the snakes do? The snakes, they could be very intelligent, no doubt about it, but they are manipulative.
Yeah.
Okay, they can cheat, and they can hypnotize, because what we know about the serpents is the eyes of the things can hypnotize you. They can make you believe that what the direction you're moving in is good. And that level, it's also the venom of the serpent, which is the poison which resides within you. Or because you feel that it's, you want to feel the high, you go into drugs and alcohol. That's a Rahu's thing as a serpent. And the serpents love to always live in they're always tenants. They don't build their own homes. You know that, right? The serpents always like to make a anthill their home, because the ants have a great way of engineering their homes, because they make it completely air conditioned, the way it is, right? That's how they've been biologically, they've been trained to create these anthills. But the anthills is supposed to be, the temperature inside an anthill is supposed to be 2 or 3 degrees lower than the temperature outside. That's how they are. They are very well air conditioned. It might be surprising for you to think. So the serpents always love to go and reside in somebody else's homes. They don't have their own. If it's a burrow which has been done by a rat, they always try to go into a burrow and want to stay there, or a rabbit or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't have their own homes. They leech onto somebody else. That's the Rahu's way it operates at the lowest level. It's about trickery, it's about manipulation, it's about cheating, it's about um, but let me tell you, it's about charm as well,
Mm-hmm.
because the serpents are charming. It could be hypnotism, it could be enigma, it could be knowledge, but that level, but that knowledge is never used for good purposes. Rahu doesn't use that knowledge for good purposes. So it could be black magic and all of those things, tantra, what we say, black side of things. That is Rahu's domain as a serpent. The second level, how Rahu behaves, is like a spider. Think about the spider. How it does what it does, it weaves a beautiful web, and it wants to attract all the insects. And we are like the insects. We are the ketus, the headless insects. We just go and fall into the web of the spider. And what is this web? This is the web which is being created by the governments and people, in businesses, who run big businesses. They say, let's create something that these people will be lured into.
I
But
love this.
today,
Mm.
Yeah, you're lured into wanting to buy an iPhone and an iPad because you see a lot of people are hanging around. So what did they do? They really created a nice web of, you know, these phones are, people who own these phones or who hang around with these phones are very, it's a statement of prestige, and maybe you feel good that you're owning an iPhone. You want to own one more because that's a status symbol. So they
Mm.
created this image, and we are like Ketus, we are just going and falling in. And you've seen so many people, as soon as they launch a new thing, and remember, these phones they don't last forever because they have been built in such a manner that every year or every 1.5 years they'll release another phone. Because what happens? You'll have to let go of the phone and you want to say, I want to go for the next, iPhone 9 or iPhone 20 or whatever, or you're still on iPhone 7, I'm on iPhone 20. It's a mindset. That's a Rahu's web
Yeah.
of illusion which is created. We have been said, oh, we're living in a safe world. Who calls it safe? It's these people who are creating this web. So that the spider is all about that illusionary world, and it's a never-ending world. You will never want to relinquish this materialistic world because of this. So it's all about, Rahu is all about technology, nightclubs, neon lights. You feel that drugs, rock and roll, and sex is the
Yeah.
real thing. That's the Rahu's spider, which is creating this web. So it's all about that world, that you live in a world which is illusionary. It is not real. But what is then real? The real world is the animal which Rahu is associated with, is the elephant. The
Weird.
elephant is a symbol of the elephant is a symbol of Rahu, of the highest harmonic, the highest level is, think about it, it's as big, think of it's the biggest land animal, one of the biggest land animals. So it represents the knowledge that it has. It represents the expansion you can achieve with Rahus. You can reach out to many masses of people and change their circumstances, what they're living in. That is Rahu as well. You know, Rahu is also about um, being, compassionate about the sufferings of the people. This side of Rahu, nobody tells you. All those things people tell you of Rahu is transformative, it's this and that, but this is the elephant. And we have a temple, and this is, the temple for Rahu. The biggest, one of the biggest temples for Rahu in India is called as Sri Kalahasteshwar Temple, very close to Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh, the state of Andhra Pradesh in India. And where a shivling is worshipped as a, it's a bhutasthal. Bhutasthal means Shiva is worshipped as Vayu, wind god. You know, so it is that in that spot, all these three animals had worshipped the shivling, and they had liberated themselves. And that is why that is the Rahu Ketu stall, and that's the only temple. And this is an additional piece of information that I'm sharing with those people who might be interested to know, that all temples in the world are closed down during an eclipse. This might be far by one of the only temples which is open during an eclipse,
Wow.
right? So go
So
ahead, Edie. You wanted
they
to ask me
close,
something?
yeah, do they close everything? So I know in India, typically nobody comes out, it's a meditative stage.
Yeah.
They have us in America staring straight at it, looking at these crazy sunglasses, and that's another one of my things. And don't you agree that, you should not be looking at it and you should be inside, like, trying to stay protected
No,
in a
I
sense?
see. Yeah, I don't believe in that. Although that, see, what would make you want to sit at home? Tell me one thing. If I if I say to you that you can be free out, you can be enjoying your things, whatever your daily
Mhm.
routine, then people wouldn't be. So maybe that was a ploy of our ancestors to say, oh, don't go out and look at this phenomenon, it can really destroy you. Yes, the solar eclipses can be harmful for your eyes if you really look at them, because within a fraction of a second, the intensity of the sun rays which are going to hit, which feels comfortable, can break your retina as well. It's not good for your eyes. But if you're wearing all these glasses and everything, it's a normal phenomenon. That's what I say. Don't fear about it. But how would you make a community to sit and meditate at home? Maybe that was the way that they thought was, oh, let's create some sort of a fear around this phenomenon so that people will stay at home. And
Okay.
what they do at home, and if you say, okay, you do some puja, do some meditation, so that would be, a better way. So that was, possibly the reason I can think. But
Why?
I don't want to create any more. It's all about fear mongering today and trying to create, morbid fears in people's minds that going out in an eclipse can be harmful. No, it will not be. It will not be. I don't want to create more fear in people's mind. It's
That's
just
good.
saying that, yeah, but it's fair enough to say that when this phenomenon is happening, you have to make the most out of it. Is
Right.
not to let go of those precious moments that, see, this eclipse is over an hour. So imagine the amount of grace and divinity and light and love and compassion that can flow through you in those 1.5 hours that when you're sitting in deep meditative states, because you're keeping your stomach empty is because to facilitate your mind, because no blood from your mind goes into your stomach. That's why they say don't keep your don't have any food a couple of hours before. And after the eclipse, usually you go and have a shower. Before an eclipse you have a shower in India, and after an eclipse you have a shower. It's more of a cleansing thing that you do, like any ritual, even shamanic rituals. You might do certain things and then you cleanse you wash your hands with salt water or whatever. Salt is another way of.
Mm-hmm.
So all these are fear psychosis which is created. And many people I've seen in India, after the eclipses they go and take a dip in the holy rivers as well. So much phenomenon, so much things which are happening. But what is real is it's a greatest time for you to really align with these, because all the celestial objects are aligned which are with you. So it makes it easier for you, for your chakras to be aligned perfectly.
Hmm. That's good advice. I mean, seriously, people need to hear that, especially from my channel, because I have a lot of people that are into conspiracies and, everybody thinks the world's ending over here. So, with these events and stuff. And I mean, it is kind of frightening. And when you do see so many patterns as, a student of astrology, doing astrology, practicing astrology, giving readings, and the patterns that I see and in my own life, I mean, I don't drive like if I don't have to on that day. Things I am
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I know other people could be losing it, especially with Mars K2 right now. That's
No,
accident
I would.
prone, so I feel like this is kind
Absolutely.
of a heavy one with Mercury retrograde and everything. Do you have any advice for that?
Yes, absolutely. See, I also want to say, during an eclipse, what can really create this whole thing is because we say it's a lunar eclipse, so I would avoid traveling, you know, not because, unless if it is really essential that you need to travel, because
Right.
moon is connected to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Moon is also connected to act of cheating. Moon is also connected to your daily cash. See, moon is the cash that you have in your wallet, okay? And Venus is the cash that you have stashed away, in tax havens, far away. You don't want the governments to come and take your taxes away, because it's like sun coming and telling to Venus, please give me the money that you owe me. And Venus is like, why should I owe you? It's my money, it's my, what I've earned. So Venus is all that unaccounted cash that you're trying to, evade taxes from. That is Venus, which is sitting in some, like a Swiss bank account, or in any of those tax havens. But moon is the daily cash that you need to go and spend. Okay. So people might realize during an eclipse their money is almost depleted in the wallets. They might have money in their bank accounts. They have to still go to an ATM to withdraw, but the money doesn't stay in the wallet, because when the moon gets eclipsed. And moon is also a destiny modifier and also a destiny breaker. So these are areas that you need to really be cautious about. You know why? Because if an accident happens during this period, Mars is also the RBCs and the blood as well, and Moon is also. So there might be huge loss of blood if accidents happen around this time. So, travel should be avoided. Signing any important deals, like you're going to buy a house, obviously those decisions can be deferred, isn't it? If you can defer certain decisions. But when it comes to even administering medicines, because the sun is, the solar eclipse is also happening. So unless your physician says, you have to get on the medication now, always pay heed to what your physician or your doctors say. They are like the sun god for us. But if you have a choice of doing a surgical operation or going through a surgical procedure, it's always better to defer it by a couple of weeks rather than do it around this high intensity energies.
And you and I were just talking about this before we went live. And so why do people all go get surgery? I mean, do you notice? And it's funny because we just had this conversation that we've noticed a lot of people are in the hospital having surgery, who goes in for surgery. And, that's what I'm noticing. And I've warned them, like, what are you doing? Don't do that now. And don't listen.
Yeah, they don't listen because again, it's they are not able to they're not able to see what is real. For example, why during an eclipse your eyes also will have an impact. Why? The sun is a significator of the right eye and the moon is a significator of the left eye. When both of these are impacted, right, when an eclipse happens, so you're not actually able to see, because it's like you're this is the source of light which comes into you. So imagine if this is like got a lid over it and you're not able to see the real things. That's why we say don't sign any major documents or agreements, or go in for major things, because you're not seeing. For example, you might want to go to a mall and impulsively buy some jewelry or some clothes, and after 2 weeks you'll realize, what was I thinking when I bought this? Because I really needed this? I don't know. What was I thinking when I bought this? And that realization will come later on, because you are even eyes is like the sun and the moon. They're also being eclipsed. So you're not able to see what is real. So that's why, moon is also the karaka or the significator of cheating. And I'll also say, because it is fluid and water and liquids, you might see around this time, because it's happening in Shravana Nakshatra and Pusha Nakshatra, you might see a lot of kidney infections, urinary tract infections that can happen. Also, issues and emotions related to home, motherhood. Okay. um, a feeling of palpitations sometimes, of sometimes with nothingness. You feel palpitation, you feel your heart is beating faster, and you don't know what is the reason, for no reason. Sometimes there is it's about wanting to know about something, what is going to happen in future, but that is your heart is keeps you pumping very fast for no reason. These are all how the moon can behave on your mind. So I would say, just if it is possible, try to avoid doing activities that can be put forward by a couple of weeks. But all those things that you have been thinking, you've been going through a lot of exploitation. For example, in relationships, it's a bad relationship, you've been exploited, you've been taken advantage of, you've been manipulated, and you're still hanging on there. I think there's no better time to let go of those things right now, because eclipses will give you the power of transformation to lead you into a better space, and a better energy will seep in. All that negative energy has to go out from you. Get rid of all those unwanted things. All those things, be like the Yama. We say Yama is the god of death, in the Vedic pantheon, god of death, and somebody who takes life from you. But think of Yama as somebody who brings logical conclusion to anything which has come to an end. If it is a business deal or a business partnership which is not working for so many months or years, and you're not making profits, what's the point to prolong your agony? Why to prolong your misery? Finish it. The nodes will give you the power of karmas to unfold. And also there is a strong connection I see with these nodes and these things happening with your grandparents. If your grandparents are still there around, they are very protective about you around these eclipses, because Rahu represents the paternal grandfather and the maternal grandmother, and Ketu, the south node of the moon, represents the maternal grandfather and paternal grandmother.
Question about you said about the animals with Rahu. What are the animals that are with, is there animals associated with Ketu like that in those levels?
Yeah. Ketu is often associated with the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And also with serpents,
Mm-hmm.
but also with a higher form of dragons as well. These are mythical dragons. These are serpents, but they are mythical dragons who can give you a lot of knowledge, and that's why it can give you detachment. It can give you why? Because what is Ketu? Ketu, Rahu is all that materialistic world that I was talking about, whether it behaves like a serpent, like a spider.
Mm-hmm.
See, spider also has 8 limbs, and number 8 is the number associated with Rahu in Vedic astrology. It can be associated with Saturn as well in many numerological systems. But what is Rahu? Rahu is only an higher octave of Saturn, nothing else. It behaves as Saturn. But what does Ketu behave as? Ketu behaves like Mars. It can be like very fiery, extreme fire, extreme
Yeah.
aggression. So all of that. So it's like a fire dragon for at the highest level.
Yeah.
At some level, at the lower level, it can be like a dog. Why a dog? A
Yeah.
dog is very, very loyal.
I'm
So
just
it is
thinking.
loyal.
I,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
I do think, like, I feel like sometimes K2 Mars, that being in my first house, I could say I feel like sometimes a fire dragon. So I can't imagine, if somebody's not used to that, having that in your chart, in your ascendant, how that goes down, like how that feels. Because if it's not in a happy sign, it's intense, you know?
No, it is very, very, very intense. But let me give you a perspective of what Ketu is, right? Ketu is like the phoenix which rises from the ashes. When you lost all hope, and when there's nothing there, there is complete devastation. Because what is Rahu? Sorry, what is Mars? Mars is the marching army with the commander, and Ketu is that army which is victorious after the battle. So there's bloodshed, there is dismembered bodies all around. There's a carnage of people. The aftermath of a war is what is Ketu. Why? The Ketu is finally you put your flag in there on the ground, say, now this belongs to us. But at what cost? The cost was of bloodshed. So many people became widows. So many people became, orphans. Children become orphans. Women became widows. So this complete carnage. And that is Ketu. Ketu is wanting to establish a, a position in life. Wherever Ketu is sitting, it says, I am first. Please pay attention to me. Usually these are people, you see Ketu, could have, sometimes I've seen, I don't know in other cultures, but I've seen these people would never want to stand in the queue. Suppose you're standing in a restaurant for a buffet, and everybody is queuing up, and you would suddenly see somebody walk in, and he'll just barge past you and go in through the queue and say, I want to take something. Or he would, because they are impatient. All Ketus are impatient. And if you
Mhm.
have, if you're born with your moon in a Ketu nakshatra, they were in a hurry to come to this world. Why? They want to address their karmas very quickly and leave. I'm saying metaphorically. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's allegorical. It's not like real physical. But they want. And you might see, if you have a Ketu moon, it's very, very, very likely that they might have been born before the actual cycle of their birth, which means before 9 months. So they might have come a couple of days before. They're in a hurry to come, and you see the Ketu active people. They want to come and they want to finish everything and go back. They're like, when can I finish this? When can I end this?
That's
Okay,
me.
give me a deadline. I need a deadline. I can't work without a deadline. Tell me, what time are you coming? Because when you'll be expecting those people to come. And but if people don't honor their words, then Ketu gets frustrated,
Oh
and they
yeah.
can really blow off. They can blow off the lid, because the Ketu is all about perfection. It's my flag. It's my home. You know, what is Ketu? Ketu is the Dwaja. Dwaja means the flag. Ketu is the mountain, the peak of the mountain. Once you go to the peak of Mount Everest, what do you do? Or any you scale any mountain, what do you do?
Turn around. Go
Yeah,
back.
no, you put your flag of the country, isn't it? That's the first thing that you do.
Yes,
It's
I.
a sense of, it brings a sense of patriotism, of belongingness. You say, I have made myself proud by making my country proud.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the pride which a lot of warriors, the people in the army, they go and fight for the country. And what is the only thing they know, that they have, we all have, our family and loved ones and near and dear ones, but fighting for some cause, and the cause is always the flag. That's the patriotism which Ketu brings in. And Ketu is the flag. And can you see, Ketu is actually, on an important day, even the government, even the military, even the police all salute the flag, the country. That is Ketu. It is what unifies the country together. It's that patriotism or belongingness. It's that oneness that you believe in. And that's the same oneness that you want to bring into your life for spiritual progress. That oneness, it's about one God, or oneness is what is important. That is why it is called a moksha karaka, a significator of liberation. Why? Because you don't believe in all these things, what people are telling you. You just know that I am doing this because I want to go and merge with the ultimate source, the ultimate light. All this is all fake. But until you are in the Rahu world, you get attracted to neon lamps. You get attracted to colorful things. You get attracted to, pretty people in life. You get always diverted. Your mind is diverted. But K2 says no, it's a razor focus. Focus is, I want to create a channel between me and God, and nobody else can actually come and intervene. And that's where, K2 becomes very, very divine, and you see a lot of saints, a lot of, priests, people who really want to pray. The K2 would be very strong.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. Okay, so I know you have a reading. I have some readings, but we're going to take a couple questions from the chat.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm going to see. So if you have any questions, please stick them in the chat. I'm going to stick your YouTube channel in the chat too. And make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel and get the app. Like I said, Cosmic Insights. It literally is the best. It gives you updates. You want to tell a little bit about the app when I'm putting
Yeah,
this?
yeah. So yeah, you can all, go to my app, where you can find a lot of information. We have our own. We have a blog as well, which is, you can go to the blog. You can read a lot. For instance, let me tell you. Some people come and ask me, I feel I'm under the influence of Rahu. What should I be doing? Right now, what are the objects related to Rahu? Okay, some of the food things that you can take in the body and enhances your Rahu is like garlic and onions. Garlic and onions are supposed to be aphrodisiac. They can create a sense of, and that's why, a lot of people in India, some of them, they avoid garlic and onion in their food. That's very Rahu. There's also a mythological story with garlic, but garlic is very good for healing. Rahu, he's that healer. That big elephant that I was talking about, that is the healer. That is what brings real positive spiritual growth, and growth in despite the materialistic growth. And what are the other things which Rahu is connected with? Coffee beans. Coffee bean. People who drink too much of coffee, black coffee, they are very, very Rahu. You know. So one of the get if you think that there's too much happening in your life, reduce your coffee, reduce your alcohol, because alcohol is Rahu. Smoking is also Rahu. So if you know that somebody else is a smoker, you can always gift him a cigarette or a cigar, to get rid of your own smoking habit. That might be a good way. But I'm not even saying that, I'm not promoting smoking here by saying go and give to everybody who wants to smoke. But if somebody you know is a smoker and he's not going to stop, if he asks for a cigarette, you can always offer him a cigarette. That again reduces the impact of Rahu. And coffee, you can donate somebody coffee bean. Anyway, Heidi, I want to take more questions. I was waiting on for
Okay.
questions to come.
No, I was trying to read this. So somebody wrote in here. Well, somebody did say, does the eclipse bring headaches? And I have to say, I don't usually get headaches until eclipse season. So I would say yes. What do you have to? What would you
Yeah,
say?
yes, definitely. Why? Because eclipses are happening, and let me tell you what is happening with your body, right? So
Mm-hmm.
generally, what we say is this part of your body is Rahu, and the spine, the bottom of your spine is Ketu. So when there's too much of energies of these eclipses, which is coming, you can have sinus, you can have migraines, you can have a kind of heaviness in your mind. Okay, so this the best thing that I've seen that can really help you from these. In the olden times, if you see, all the people used to go out of the house wearing a headgear or a cap or a scarf or a turban, and that is way to remove the unfavorable effects of Rahu on your head. So you see, certain traditions never go out of the house without a turban or a cap or something on their head, because this part, even if you see, um, you see the Jews, you see the Islamic world. Most of them wear a small cap on this part of the head. What are they doing? They're protecting this. You go to India, you see a lot of turbans. You see the Sikh people, they cover their head. They want to protect this part, because this part is it's called it's 1008 petals, and it needs to be purified. Why? Because the sunlight will fall on it, and that can really create an impact. Because Sun and Rahu, they don't get along, isn't it? It eclipses. So it eclipses your mind. So that's why you feel this heaviness, this energy which is there around an eclipse.
Okay. And then what about everybody keeps asking me this and talking about this, about the sun, um, about all the planets being on the same side of the sun's equator.
Yeah, that can again create some sort of imbalance,
Mm-hmm.
can happen. And also, what is another important phenomenon during this eclipse, for example, Heidi, is Mercury is going to be retrograde. So always watch your words. It's always better to say nothing sometimes, rather than say, and you might be misconstrued for whatever you say. It could be misunderstood, could be misconstrued. The timing of saying something can backfire on you,
Right.
and then you would go and say, well, I didn't really mean that, and I never said that in that sense. But it'll always be misunderstood. So sometimes it's better to be much more calmer, draw yourself back inside, and try to re-engineer what is happening within you. And don't be judgmental around this time. Being judgmental of saying, what are you doing, you're wrong, because you do not know what their vehicle as in what is their path in life. Let's focus on our path first. Let me pave our way first, and then let us go and help other people. So criticizing, being overcritical, and also about certain things, because communication will be impacted at this. Because, and remember, Mercury is going to go retrograde in Ashlesha Nakshatra around this eclipse, which means a lot of poison is going to come out. And because the eclipse is happening, and because people don't, there's less element of diplomacy. Everything will be like seem like poison. Everything, because it's about wanting to say the truth. You're not trying to hide anything. That's why I said during an eclipse, whatever was secret, whatever was hidden, all of that is going to come out, and you're going to see it as it is. Which means if you want to really know what poverty is, it will show you what poverty is. Because we don't experience poverty, we don't think about it. But if you really want to see and experience poverty, you will see it. And this eclipse will make you see the real things of life. Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your career, whether it is with your relationship with your parents or your anybody, it's going to show the real truth. And sometimes it can be hard for you to digest that, but you have to ingest that. You have to take it in your body and refine it. It's not about reacting, it's about reflecting.
Yeah, that's good. And somebody asked if you believe the soul gets liberated from the cycle of rebirth and the curse of Sarpadosh. I said that right.
There are so many belief systems. It's and whatever you say, you can still get away because nobody is going to see what happens after our life, isn't it?
Right. That's how
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love that answer. That's a great answer. It's a beautiful
You can, because you can say anything in the name of karma today. You can say anything and you can get away. I believe in a past life you must have been a rat. You know, they will
Mhm.
say, "Why do you think so?" Because I believe that you like to go in the middle of the night and have food from the refrigerator. And they say, "Yes, I like to do, go to the refrigerator at, maybe 12 in the midnight and try to nibble into something." They say rats come out at that time and they nibble. So that's why you must have been a rat. And it's so easy to convince people with anything today. you know I'm not going to go into that, but yes, I would say definitely a lot of energies, which is serpentine energies, are connected to these nodes. Because what is that is whatever. And I was talking about rising from the phoenix is from the ashes, isn't it? It's like a thing which is emerging from nowhere. And that is what ketu is. But what is ketu and what is rahu is ketu is going to give you a legacy that you will have on this planet even much after you're gone, which means people will still talk about you, after much after you're gone. They will say, okay, I think he's done some great deeds here, and they will remember you for what you have done, your contributions. It's like the flag that you have planted when you're here, when you're alive. A rahu is that thing that you will only get praised when you're at some stage in your life. You made it very big, and you have a lot of friends. They say, oh, I think you're great, you look so pretty, you look handsome, you're the smartest of all of them. And then when your downfall comes, all of them, nobody is going to stand by you. Everybody is going to run away. That is the Rahu impact. Ketu doesn't want anybody. Rahu wants everybody. Rahu wants somebody to come and pat on their back and say, well done. Ketu doesn't need anybody's appreciation. Ketu will still go on doing its karmas irrespective. So it's like the serpentine energy. Serpentine energy can really help you, because serpents also shed their skin. So you should know when you need to let go of certain karmic, clutches that you are in. You have been in some sort of a skin that you're not enjoying. So it's time now to shed that skin so that you can live a better life. So
Gosh,
that's the ketu. That's the ketu wanting to shed. Because what happens for many years, you have kept these layers of skin and this hatred and jealousy for people. It might be 20 years back somebody has done something to you, but why are you still holding that? And whenever you meet that person, it can create certain hormonal imbalances within you as well. You suddenly feel that anger and that frustration come back. So, but what is that? It is the frustration is all within. It's not an individual outside, which should be bothered about. You
that is
know?
that's the best explanation I've heard of K2, because I think people are so misconstrued by how it is in the first house. I mean, when I've had readings, they've been like, "Oh, you're this and you're this way and you're aggressive." It's like for its own cause. It's not with, it's so I am focused on me, myself, and I in a way, and there's no, yeah, you dabble and learn the lessons of Rahu, but K2 is like, once you figure out it's okay to be alone, that's the only thing you want.
Yeah, yeah. That's the only thing you want. And K2 will take you to those areas is your comfort zone, which means those areas that you've already done in the past. Possibly. That's one of the explanations you can give.
Yeah.
So that is your comfort zone. You always want to be in that space where your Ketu is. And that's why Ketu in the first house can give you an inclination of wanting to be more by yourself, because you enjoy yourself. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
I have to say, if you have to really spread love, compassion, and understanding with people outside, then you should have all of that within you. You should love yourself first. Only then you can share. If you don't have it, how can you share? These are Rahu people. Rahu people want to share what they don't have. They will talk about things that they don't have, and they will talk about they'll glorify things in such a way a manner. And really, if you go and look into their lives, they're not doing any of them. They're good preachers. Rahu in the first house are excellent preachers. They can advise 100 people and change 100 people's life. When you go and look at their own lives, miserable. They're not doing any of those things that they are preaching.
So true. Yeah. That's so spot on. And then the K2 people get the bad rap because they brutally say the truth.
Yes.
And they'll tell it like it is.
Yeah. And they will be practicing. And they'll be practicing every word that they say. And because they're practicing every word they say and they're experiencing what it feels like, really, other people think they get a bad rap. But what a Rahu? Rahu will use a flowery language. He will say, you will experience this in Kundalini energy. And really, he might not even know what Kundalini means. But he can really tell about Kundalini to people. They will believe that they know everything.
Yeah. That's so, oh my God, that's amazing. And that's so true. Well, that was so enlightening. And honestly, I think we all needed to hear that because it's always so negative. And, I go down that path too. So it's a good thing to hear it, come from, advice from you. So thank you so much for coming on my channel. Make sure you check out Cosmic Insights, please. It is well worth it if you want to learn all about the nakshatras. And hopefully we will do another show soon. Don't hang up.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say bye. Okay.